Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Joe Graziano, and I am a Senior Solution Engineer with VMware's End User Computing Federal Group. I'm here today to virtually present to you a what's new of VMware End User Computing. So without further ado, let's get started. So what we're going to talk about today is what's new in actually Horizon 2111 and 2203, since there's been some new updates for both, and I want to cover them both because there's a lot of material. So we're going to talk about the platform. We're going to talk about instant clones. We'll go over the Horizon agent and the client. We'll talk about app volumes, and we'll talk about DEM. And then once we wrap that up, we're also going to give you a high-level overview of Zero Trust. So let's get started. So what's new in 2111 and 2203? Let's start with 2111. And in the platform updates, we're only going to cover 2111 because 2203 did not see any platform updates. There was no change to the connection server. So anything new in 2203 is going to be client, is going to be agent, nothing at the connection server level. So you won't have any upgrades if you are on 2111 and you want to go to 2203. Okay, so core platform updates in 2111. Support for Windows Server 22 on the connection server has been added. There is a 30-day grace period for term customers. So if you have a term license and your license expires and you didn't catch it in time, you do have a 30-day grace period where things will continue to function. It'll warn you, and you can get your upgrades done or your renewals done. There are improvements with the agent when it detects connection issues. It'll prevent the broker from choosing a machine that's not available. So it allows you to not pick an unavailable machine and then to get into that black screen state where you don't function. There's been throttling improvements for RDSH to eliminate that black hole effect that you may or may not have experienced. It prevents new or no load servers from getting flooded with requests. You can configure load balancing settings, session thresholds, and load index thresholds. Self-signed certificates will auto-renew within 30 days prior to expiration. That's been a bump from the typical 7-day renewal that happens behind the scenes. Horizon recording. This is probably one of my favorite new additions for this release. You can actually now monitor what's going on in a Horizon session. It now supports RDSH, localization, and this product was had a different name prior. I don't remember what it was, but it's now called Horizon Recording. So you can increase security and auditing for user behavior with troubleshooting. The optimization tool is now part of the software release. It's no longer a fling. Its name has been changed to the Windows OS optimization tool for Horizon. Supports Windows 11, Windows 10, 21H2, Server 2022, and Office 21. And you'll notice that it disables Defender, and you can download it from the customer contact now, no longer on the Fling site. Okay, so how about instant clones? So in 2111, standard switches, over and above distributed switches, support's been enabled. Link parity for multiple NICs has also been enabled, and maintenance mode for floating and dedicated instant clones. So you can now put instant clones in maintenance mode individually. So you can selectively push an instant clone image as well. So today, when you do a push, or prior to 2111, when you do a push, it pushes all the instant clones for that pool. Now you can test before you deploy. So you can pick a particular instant clone or multiples, push that to just them and test, and then roll out after you do your successful testing. And coming soon, in July, I believe, again, this is coming soon, this is from the BU, instant clone forensics. So you will be able to take an instant clone, basically convert it to a persistent clone for forensic work, so that you can salvage the logs and do all types of investigating and reporting, and then turn the machine back and have it refresh just like a regular instant clone. So how about the Horizon console? What's new here? Well, in 2111, you now have unauthenticated users. You can do an untrusted domain for customers who don't want to establish a trust relationship between domains, like a cloud deployment. So you can have unauthenticated users starting with 2111. And you can see here where you would edit the information and add groups and users and add multiple domains. Events filtering. I know a lot of you are going to nod your head and say, thank you. This is something that we've been waiting for. Some may not, but this is something that a lot of my customers have been asking for. You can filter your events now. Choose from 2,000 to 20,000 events, custom date range, severity. You can export everything to Excel. It gives you a lot more granular touching points to the events right there in your Horizon console. So bulk machine operations. How many of you have picked a whole bunch of different machines and said, I want to do this, or I want to set up a recovery? The system is now going to just double check. It's going to ask you, you chose a lot of things. Is this really what you want to do? If you are, click continue. If you aren't, you can click, oh, darn, I didn't mean to do that. Let me click cancel. Let me go back and look at what I was doing. Again, it prevents accidental changes. Page size in the Horizon console. Lots of customers have big deployments, and prior to this, you saw 20 items per page and you had to scroll through each individual page. Now you can go from at least 20 to 50 to 100. It's still not everything, which I believe I've been told that a view all is coming, but for now it gives you at least a little bit of a broader scope per page for your items. And then the status dashboard. The Horizon console, it now has, if you notice on the right-hand side of the screen, you now have status where you can see what's being prepared, what machines are ready, what machines are provisioned, any errors. So you don't have to go into all of your pools to see, is there an error for a particular VM? It'll all now at very least be right there on the dashboard. And if you click on any of those items, they're hyperlinked, it will take you to that location so that you can see deeper what's going on. RDSH, there is now a drain mode indicator in the console as well. So if you're getting ready to work on an RDSH host and you put it into drain mode, it will tell you that here. Won't tell you how many, well, you can see that there's a maximum number of connections. I don't believe it tells you how many are left, but it at least lets you know that it's being drained. So without this, an admin wouldn't know if something's happening and a server has low session count. At least with this way, you can see that the drain mode's been enabled, and you can not panic about how a particular RDSH host is performing. Carbon Black, there is now a status for the Carbon Black scan if you've got that integrated with your instant clones, and it is instant clone and Windows Agent only for now. So if Carbon Black's enabled, it will let you know when you're creating or selecting your gold image if the scan is still in progress. And if it is, best recommendation is to wait for the scan to be complete before proceeding. Okay, so Horizon Agent. What's new here? Well, in 2111, you can read from a text file for the agent installer. Some of my customers have noticed that, so the SVGA driver has been removed from the agent installation. So in other words, you're now getting your SVGA driver from VMware Tools. And you can see here, screenshot it if you want, there's a KB article that talks about the SVGA drivers not present in the Horizon agent, which could cause some problems. But again, check out that KB article. And Windows 10, 21H2, and Windows 11 support are now included. And then for 2203, the agent will not run if there's a pending Windows update. So if there's something going on with that machine and it needs an update, the agent won't start, which will prevent errors in the Horizon connection, errors in the admin console. It makes it a little cleaner, especially if you've got updates going on. All input from the vSphere console, it's now blocked during a desktop session, meaning in the past, if you went to the vSphere console and you went to an instant clone and you looked at it, it would be a black screen. But if you moved your mouse around, the end user on the other side would see that mouse. That's been fixed. So all access from the console when a session is live is now blocked. And then you can now install in FIPS mode as well. Linux got some updates. They extended DEM support, USB, clipboard, watermark, Horizon Smart Policies are now available. SLED 15 and SLES 15 SP3. So those operating systems are now supported. Watermark enhancement, DEM control, and some visual fixes were added into the Linux agent. Also, the vJoeG Direct Connect is now supported. Published apps with vGPU are also now supported. And you can install the Horizon agent on open OS like Debian, like Mint, like Astra, and so forth. Horizon Clients. So 2111, 21H2 and Windows 11 support have been added. H264 and HEVC improvements with DirectX 11. You dynamically update icons on taskbars. Chinese support and URL redirection for Firefox is now enabled. And then in 2203, USB redirection for specific devices has been disabled. You can filter on vids, PIDs, a lot more flexibility in your USB support. And 32-bit support has been dropped except for ARM processors. So how about the Linux client? So monitor settings are now per desktop. Prior to this, it would apply to all desktops. So now it's individual. Touchscreen functionality has been added in 2203. In remote sessions, client user interface, client users. So you can use touchscreen in the remote desktop and app sessions, and again, support for full screen and windowed mode has been added. For the Mac, OS 12 Monterey is now supported. You can have dynamically updated icons on the taskbar. They redesigned the USB user interface. They've added anti-keylogger controls, and RTAV H264 codec is now also supported for the Mac. As well as, in 2203, real-time audio-video with the Opus codec has now been also added to the support. iOS 15 and iPad OS 15 are now supported, and function keys and certain key mappings have been enhanced to the keyboard in the iOS. And then in 2203, this is a fun one, we added the pop-up reminder for users so you can rate the application, because just like all of your iOS apps, we want to know how we're doing, and if you rate that information gets back to the BU and engineering so that we can see how we're doing and take your feedback. And probably one of the coolest, is the Samsung Folds. I don't know if any of you have one of these devices, but support in 2203 has been added for the Fold. So what's the neat thing about this is if you have the screen fully, if you have the phone fully opened, you've got a full desktop like you see in the top picture. But then if you fold it in half, but not closed, the keyboard will now show up in the bottom part of the display. So you effectively have kind of like a mini laptop on your phone. It's pretty cool. On Android, we've added support for Android 12. DeX tablets have multi-monitor support. NIAP certified credentials have been added, which is a very, very good thing for folks who need common criteria, government agencies. I mean, I'm in federal, so this is a big one for us. Secure smart wrapping, so it validates the signatures of any APKs that are put onto the phone, and support for Android SDK 30. And then also in 2203, it automatically redirects all plugged-in USB devices, and it includes PIV-D support now. So you can use certificates derived from your PIV-D card, so you can badge in and get forwarded and pass that into the virtual desktop. Lots of changes and lots of additions to Chrome. System tray redirection. It emulates the Windows system tray for a better look and feel. Chromebook keyboard redirection. File type associations. You can right click to open the Horizon client for Chrome. Remote app parity. Geolocation redirection's been added. You can set Horizon client settings via the Google admin console. Per monitor DPI sync. So if you've got multi-monitors that are different, it will sync per monitor. Third-party apps, virtual SDK for Imprivata has been added, and also Teams offload. And then in 2203, you now have the option to restart in the UI, and again, more improved multi-monitor support. So how about HTML access? So VMware's VXR, VR and AR headsets are now supported. Again, the per monitor DPI sync that we've seen in some of the other settings. Geolocation as well, and Teams offload. But it's worth noting, feel free to screenshot this, it's off by default, but you can set it in order for Teams offload to be available. So check out the link here if you have further questions about that. And then in 2203, we added the restart option just like we did for Chrome. Okay, so let's jump over to what's new in app volumes. So apps on demand. This is a really neat new feature where you can go into the package that you're creating. In this case, it's Chrome, and you can set it to on demand. What that means is that when a user logs in, they don't automatically get this app stack attached. There's no VMDK added. So it only attaches, and it attaches quickly after they initially launch the package. So if you want to have been using it, double click it, then it attaches and starts. Multi-instance application synchronization. This is a neat new feature also that has been added so that if you have test environment, dev environment, prod environment, you now can sync your applications across those environments as you test and promote them up into the tiers. Really, really neat feature that some of my previous clients were asking for, and it's been released. So application synchronization has to be 2111 or later. Source and target instance for the source and the target. Only replicated packages from the source that are imported into the target can be synced. It's unidirectional. Synchronization occurs for all replicated packages. Entitlements and application markers can't be synced yet. That's still a fling in 2111, but we'll talk about that. So put a pin in that for the moment. Each instance can have multiple sources and target instances. Applications and packages created only by that instance can be synchronized. Apps and packages that are synchronized can only be managed by an admin on the source instance. And only changes to enabled packages, so it has to be enabled in order for them to be synced to the target instance. So if you've got packages that you don't have enabled right now, they won't go. Operating system, Windows 11, Server 2022, Office 2011 have been added. You can now run as a user and use user context scripts as part of the new release. Okay, so that was 2111. So now we're going to talk real quick about what's just come out in 4.6, which is 2203. On-demand command line delivery. So now you can use command lines in a DEM shortcut, in a file association, to deliver these applications real time to your VDI. Really, really, really neat, new, powerful feature that was added in this go around. Global packaging delivery. So synchronizing applications, package metadata updates. So you can synchronize package import assist, which removes the need for a storage group import. You can synchronize markers, which is what I was talking about before. Takes away the need for the fling tool. You can synchronize assignments. Again, removes the need for the fling tool. This is built in now. And then single direction relationships. It eliminates the conflict with having to manage your source. And it's disaster recovery ready. So updated topology to add remove instances as needed. Some really, really neat new features. We also added 64 disks per PV-SCSI controller with a maximum of 256 disks. Removes the need of extra controllers. Again, some powerful new addition to the performance. We published the API. A lot of my customers were asking, where's the API for this? We want to code against the API. If you go here you look up the app volumes in VMware code, you can see the API now for app volumes. Oh, go back real quick. Writable volumes, it's coming. Not sure if it's going to be in the next build, but migrating your writable volumes is coming as well. Okay, so dynamic environment manager. So you no longer need the log off script or always wait for network. It's now built in. You can override existing user policies. So you can override AD inside of DEM now. Neat and handy feature if you can't change AD, but you need to make a change and it's okay. You can now do it inside of DEM. Personalizations. Again, you can disable it and override AD personalizations. Printing. How many times have printer mappings timed out? If that happens, you can now address how to handle that. You can terminate the mapping. You can continue it in the background. Again, it gives you a little more flexibility for things that aren't going so well, but you still want to manage it. OneDrive for business integration. Again, you can use OneDrive now for your profile archive stores. So really handy if you're using OneDrive and you want to leverage that storage. Just like app volumes, Windows 11, Server 2022, Windows 10, 21H2 supported, and now Azure Virtual Desktop. So you can use app volumes in Azure in AVD as well. Okay, so 2203 for Dynamic Environment Manager. So Flex Engine can process environment variables prior to processing folder redirection. Really neat. You can get environment variable processing before you do your folder redirection. So if you need a variable set that folder redirection is going to rely on, in the past that didn't happen, it's now available. And you configure that with either GPO mode, as you can see here under the ADMX template, or in no AD mode, it's set in your XML. Term licenses, you can now put your term licenses into DEM. And it continues, but I mean, there is continued support for the perpetual license. your existing deployment will continue to work. The benefit is it enables customers to upgrade to term license and be able to put them in here and avoid any downtime or any license issues. How it works, the DEM config file stores the license, the Flex engine validates the license at runtime, and then you're set and ready to go. And like you see here in this screenshot, you now have that drop down item. You click license, you put in your license key, and you're good to go. Hide drives. So you can override existing hide drive configurations. So it's a lot of detail on this slide. Feel free to take a screenshot. But presently, DEM merges hide drive with the existing config. This feature overrides previously configured hide drives. And you see on the right-hand side, how does it work? Again, two modes. You've got your GPO mode or your no AD mode. Again, you set it in an ADMX setting, or you put it in the noad.xml file as an override drives equals 1. There's now Workspace ONE integration. So at the UAG and Dynamic Environment Manager, you can do policy-based settings, kind of like with OpSWAT. And how that works is you enroll your device, the UAG talks to DEM, and based on how the policy settings play out, you can restrict at multiple levels what access to DEM policies this device has. As you can see here in the UAG settings, you can say a low, medium, high, or other risk score. Based on that performance from the UAG, you come into DEM, and if it's a low, allow clipboard copy. If it's a medium or high, you may not. So again, you've got more granular ability to prevent things from happening inside DEM based on the security standards or the security posture of that device. Okay, that was a lot of information for a 30-minute session. And I apologize, but we didn't get to Zero Trust. However, if you go to the link that's on my screen now to VMware's Tech Zone, you can review and understand everything you want to know about Zero Trust and how we can help you position your organization for success. Zero Trust is not a single entity. It's not a single product. It's a methodology. So I encourage you to screenshot this again, copy the link, take a look at it, and you can learn everything you need to know about Zero Trust. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I hope you learned a lot. Again, it was a lot of material in a short time. So have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. My name is Joe Graziano, vJoeG. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.